All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack the code on customer loyalty. We're diving into this really cool 2008 study that figured out what actually makes us, happy as customers. And what's great is it all boils down to a super simple four-part framework. And this right here, this quote, this is really the heart of the whole thing. The researchers who did this study started with this very idea. In a super competitive world, it's just not enough to have the lowest price. It's the experience, right? The service you get. That's what's going to make or break a company. Okay, so to really get why this study is so important, we gotta set the scene. Let's travel back to the mid-2000s, specifically to Mumbai, India. The whole country was in the middle of this huge economic boom. You had new retail shops just popping up left and right. It was fierce. Everyone was fighting for every single customer. And we're talking about incredibly high stakes. Look at this number, 100,000 crore rupees. Now, to put that in perspective, that's something like 25 billion US dollars back then. That was the projected turnover for the entire retail industry in India by 2010. So, with that much cash floating around, you can bet every single store was scrambling to figure out how to get their piece of the pie. So this all brings us to the big question for these retailers. How do you even stand out? Because think about it. The tricks you use to get someone in the door for the first time, they're not necessarily the same things that are going to make them stick around. Getting new customers is one thing, but building that real, lasting loyalty, that's the golden ticket. That's the key to actually surviving and thriving long term. So, to crack this loyalty puzzle, the researchers did the smartest thing you can do. They went straight to the source, the customers. In a market where you have tons of choices, what is it that actually makes someone pick one store and stay with it? The only way to find out was to go talk to the shoppers themselves. And who were they talking to? Well, pretty much the engine of the modern economy. You can see the biggest groups were young professionals and students. These are people who are educated, they're aware, and they've got this new disposable income. So we're not talking about some tiny niche audience here. These are the exact everyday customers that all those stores were desperate to win over. But here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly a little startling. Their loyalty, it was basically paper thin. Get this. Over 80% of the people they talked to had been shopping at their favorite store for less than a year. The study even coined a term for it, fragile loyalty. It just goes to show you how easy it was for people to jump ship, which made solving this whole loyalty puzzle that much more urgent. So, after digging through all of that data, all that feedback, something really cool happened. A clear pattern started to emerge from what looked like total chaos. It turned out customer satisfaction wasn't just some random fuzzy feeling. No, it was a system. And that system was built on 4 key pillars. The researchers called it the 4A framework. And here they are, the big reveal: alignment, association, attractive value, and assurance. These 4 A's, this was the answer to the puzzle. This became their complete roadmap for not just understanding customer satisfaction, but for actually creating it. Okay, so 4 A's. Sounds good, but what do these words actually mean in the real world, for a real business? Let's break each one down and see what it takes to turn a one-time shopper into a lifelong fan. All right, first up is alignment. The best way to think about this one is, it's the foundation of the house. It's all about making the entire customer experience super easy, super pleasant. It's about getting the absolute basics so right that the customer barely even notices them, because they just work. So what does that look like in practice? Well, alignment is basically operational excellence. You can see it in these examples right here. We're talking convenient hours, staff that actually wants to help you, getting things right the first time. It's all the stuff that might seem obvious, but the study found it has to be pretty much flawless. Okay, next up is association. So if alignment was the foundation, association is like building the rooms inside the house. This is where you start building a real relationship. You're moving beyond just a simple transaction and into a real human connection. It's all about showing the customer that you get them, that you care about them as a person. So, how do you actually build that feeling of association? It really comes down to creating trust and just showing you care. Things like making sure their records are easy to read and accurate, making them feel safe during a transaction, really trying to understand what they need specifically. It's that individual attention that proves to them, hey, I'm not just another sale. Our third A is attractive value. Now, this is where all the physical stuff comes in. Everything the customer can see and touch and experience with their senses. But it's also about how competitive your actual offer is. So it's a combination of the look and feel of the place, plus the actual value of what you're selling. And in the real world, this is, well, it's everything you can see and compare. Is the equipment modern? Is the store clean and appealing? Are the staff neat? And, of course, are the prices and the product selection competitive? You can't have one without the other. It really is the whole package. And that brings us to our final A, assurance. You can think of this one as the ultimate promise. It's all about making your customer feel totally confident and secure that they made the right choice by picking you. It's the feeling that you're reliable, you know your stuff, and you're gonna deliver every single time. And assurance isn't just something you say. It's something you prove through your actions. It's about fast service. It's about keeping people in the loop. It means your employees have the skills to actually answer questions and solve problems. It's about having what people need right when they need it. At the end of the day, it's that simple feeling that you've got their back. Okay, so there we have it. Alignment, association, attractive value, and assurance. The 4 A's. But what's the big secret here? What's the one thing this framework tells us that's more important than anything else for a business that wants to build a really loyal following? And here it is. This is probably the most important insight from the whole study. It's not about being a rock star at just one of these things. You can't just pick one A and crush it. For example, you could have the best prices in town. That's great attractive value. But if your store is messy and the staff is rude, that's terrible alignment. It just won't work. The real magic, the real success, comes from how all 4 of these things are interconnected. They have to work together, like gears in a machine. And that really brings us to our final thought for today. You know, this framework came out in 2008, but if you think about it, it's maybe even more relevant now. We live in a world of absolutely endless choice, both online and off. Just satisfying a customer, that's not really enough anymore, is it? The study pushes us to think bigger, to create a delighted customer. So the big question I'll leave you with is, how can we use this 4A framework to do exactly that today? Thanks for joining this explainer.